What up, people? CPM in the building. And we're going back on UK trains for this one. We're going straight to the capital city of London. London, the business center of Europe. Now we're going to a London tube line called the Bakerloo Line. This Bakerloo Line has been here for quite a while. We're talking about almost 100 years of something like that. Don't quote me on that. But yes, this line, every single Londoner or tourist that's been on this line has mixed feelings on this line. I can't lie to you. It has a lot of bendy platforms, old, and I'm talking about grandpa age trains. Yeesh, man. TFL, I know you're a little bit low on funds, yeah, but you need to get this one sorted ASAP. These trains are not acceptable for big 2026. I am sorry. If people were thinking about the Central Line or the Piccadilly Line being bad, that Bakerloo Line is the worst. I'm sorry. It's unique. I like it. I really do. Like, don't think that I don't like this line. I really do like this line. But the trains, Jesus Christ, we need to get. This is 2026, 21st century. This needs to be ended. We need new trains on this bitch. Anyway, we're going to talk about the Bakerloo Line Extension, the extension that London has been needed for over 50 years, mate. This has been in the planning, in gaming terms, we call this development hell. Well, for urban transport, urban planning, this is planning hell. Because why are we not building this as quickly as possible? I'm blaming the government on this one. The Bakerloo Line is one of the oldest underground lines. It opened in 1906 and it runs from Harrow and Wealdstone in the northwest of London to Elephant and Castle, Zone 1 in the top of South London. But south of Elephant and Castle, the line just simply stops, even though large part of Southeast London remains without any tube service. Why was this extension proposed in the first place? Southeast London has always been underserved by rail compared to the rest of the city. Large areas rely heavily on buses and national rail services that are often crowded, indirect, or very expensive. Because as a Londoner, we all know that the tube prices are cheaper than the national rail prices, which is not fair for people of South London because we're being treated like we are North London, West London, East London when they have tube while we don't. And yeah, we're getting treated the same like them. As early as the 1930s, planners recognized that extending the Bakerloo Line could relieve congestion, reduce journey times, and provide underground access to different communities that it never had. This wasn't new. It is one of the oldest unbuilt projects of the tube map. As I said, planning hell. Plans for proposals to extend the Bakerloo Line date back to before the Second World War. Early ideas suggested running it deeper into Southeast London, suggest alongside or replacing existing rail services. This means that our planners were trying to extend this line before the German painter started causing ruckus around Europe. In the post-war decades, various versions appeared. Some heading towards Camberwell, which is, to be honest, that is the slam dunk. Elephant and Castle is literally right on top of Camberwell. This should have been a slam dunk. Like, it's just a straight line downwards. Others were towards Peckham or Lewisham, which both make sense. These are big towns everyone knows in London. There's no way you don't have not heard at least one of those names. These are big towns and they're still growing. They're getting gentrified. More people are coming to these towns. And point is, there is no infrastructure that is helping towards this. There's more houses being built, but no tube. What is going on here? Every few years, a new study would confirm the same thing. Demand was there, but the money wasn't. Ah, yes, the classic. We can't build shit because we ain't got the money. To me, it's BS. When it comes to transport, if the transport is needed, it is there, the money will come with it. Whether you have to use housing prices, land value, or whatnot, I think it's in the taxpayers' value, taxpayers' benefit that the infrastructure is there. The same goes for the high-speed rail projects like HS2, even though it's ballooned up to £100 billion, I don't care. It's in the taxpayers' benefit that the full HS2 is integrated, not just one leg, not just half a leg, the whole 3Y network. But back to the Bakerloo Line. In the 2000s and 2010s, the idea returned again, this time backed by more detailed modelling from Transport for London. The most developed plan would extend the line from Elephant and Castle to Old Kent Road, New Cross Gate, Lewisham, and further into Hayes, which, to be honest, even though it skips Camberwell and Peckham, this is one of the most ambitious plans that TfL has made, and I'm actually proud that they've actually put this in their consultations. They've actually detailed it. The only thing they haven't detailed is the stations after Lewisham, but the main stations for Lewisham, the Old Kent Road stations, the New Cross Gate, the Lewisham ones. Yes, I think this shows that TfL really wants to get this done. And I think it's a big slam dunk because it really does show how bad Southeast London tube connectivity really is. The most modern proposal usually includes the Elephant and Castle to Lewisham routes. This is via Old Kent Road, and this is an area that's earmarked for major regeneration. Then it goes to New Cross Gate and Lewisham, a key transport hub. Some versions go further towards Hayes, and this would convert a suburban rail route from Lewisham to Hayes into a tube line. This route is popular with planners because it serves dense neighborhoods, supports housing developments, and connects with multiple other rail lines. One of the biggest benefits would be connectivity. Either parts of Southeast London would gain direct underground access for the first time, cutting journey times dramatically. This is also a capacity relief. National rail routes from London Bridge and Charing Cross are heavily used. And believe me, they are. Shifting some passengers onto the tube could free up space for longer distance or regional services. Then there's regeneration. Transport investment often unlocks housing and jobs. Areas like Old Kent Road has been identified for tens of thousands of new homes, but that growth depends on better public transport. Finally, there is fairness. When you look at a tube map, South London is notably emptier than the North, and extension helps rebalance decades of uneven investments. This is very true because, again, Elephant Castle, Camberwell, Peckham, New Cross, Lewisham, Old Kent Road, and if you're going to include the Hayes extensions, we're talking about Beckenham, we're talking about Hayes, These are places where a majority of Southeast London is, and these are areas that are continue going to be growing because of the ease of use to get to central London, to get to other places in London. So having the tube be upgraded to like this is very beneficial for Southeast London. And we've been, as a South Londoner, we've always been complaining, why is there no tube in South London? The technology is there. There is no excuses. There should be at least a few tube lines deep in South London, not like the Elizabeth line that only pokes into Woolwich and the DLR that only pokes into Woolwich, or the Jubilee line that only goes up north of South London and then goes back and crosses the river to Canary Wharf. We don't need that anymore. We need an actual tube line that goes deep inside South London. And finally, we have at least one. There should be more, but that is for another video. What are the downsides and risks? The biggest obstacle is cost. A Bakerloo Line extension would cost several £billion. Tunneling, new stations, power upgrades, and new trains will add up quickly. There's also disruption. Construction would last many years, affecting roads, businesses, and communities along the route. Those who are in Euston knows very well how that feels like and don't want to go through that again. I understand the pain, but to me, honestly, I would take a couple years and get this done quickly. That's it. I said my piece. Even though I am biased on that part, I will firm that kind of pain if it means there's a bigger reward at the end. Another concern is what happens to existing rail services. If the Bakerloo Line takes over the Hayes National Rail branch, some passengers could lose direct mainline services and be forced to change trains. Capacity is also a question. The Bakerloo Line is old and already busy in central London. Without major upgrades, extending it could push the line beyond what it can handle reliably, which is very true. The Bakerloo Line is old. Bakerloo Line is rusty. Just extending it was not going to help. I'm thinking a whole upgrade of the route needs to be done. And that means that Harrow and Wealdstone and Stonebridge Park and even Queen's Park needs to be heavily redeveloped. I'm thinking I think I saw one video on YouTube. I forgot the guy's name. I'll search it and put it in the link bio. But he said about extending the Bakerloo Line back to Watford Junction, which I think should be done. I think Watford Junction will serve better as a Bakerloo Line extension so that when we're extending the Bakerloo Line to Hayes, we actually got some space for services. And the concern for the existing rail services, I will say this, I can understand why Bromley Council don't want the Bakerloo Line to take over. I say the only solution, if Bromley really are not going to budge on this, is I'm thinking at least 1 train per hour of the National Rail Service going through the Hayes Line and just convert that into overground. So it'll be like, so we have Northwest London having both the underground and overground. Southeast London will have underground and overground as well. Take the like 1 train an hour, 2 train an hour overground service from Charing Cross to Hayes. That will solve the problem. Okay, now we have the rolling stock problem. One rarely discussed issue is the trains themselves. The Bakerloo Line uses some of the oldest trains on the underground. We're still London, imagine we're still using 1970 stock Bakerloo Line trains. These trains need replacing ASAP. Whether we're extending the Bakerloo Line or not, this is not an excuse anymore. How are we using 1970s? My parents were born in the 1970s. Why are we still using these trains? I don't understand. But an extension would definitely require more trains, upgraded depots, more modern signaling, and air conditioned tube trains. There's no excuses now. It's 2026. In other words, the Bakerloo Line extension isn't just about digging tunnels, it's about rebuilding the line from end to end. Which to me, I'm thinking is not just extending the line, but we need to upgrade the whole line past Harrow and Willstone. Now, why have these plans keep getting cancelled? The extension has repeatedly fallen victim to wider problems. Government funding cuts, changing political priorities, economic crises, and uncertainty of who pays. Transport for London finances are badly hit by the pandemic, pushing big capital projects to the back of the queue. Every time the project goes close to moving forward, something bigger intervenes and the Bakerloo Line extensions goes back on the shelf, which then shows the issue with government itself. TfL should not be considered as a private company or a government company that should brunt all the responsibility. To be honest, the government should nationalize TfL. It is far too important. The government needs to streamline how much funding TfL really needs and what TfL should be able to do with it, the funding as well. To be able to get these projects up and running, the way TfL gets its money is not the correct way. Us, the taxpayers, we're not paying the government just to pay the government. We're paying the government for efficient service. And TfL, because it's not being getting money from the government, as it should be, like other European transport agencies, it has fallen victim to bigger ticket prices, less efficient service, and now struggling with tube extensions. This is unacceptable. Starting from 2026 forward, if the government does not get its act together, I'm really thinking we need to get the government out. We need to bring a government that can actually understand what is needed and how it's supposed to be needed. If we don't see effective change, then they should not be effective, be there for 4 years. We need them out, honestly speaking. Let's talk about the alternatives to the Bakerloo Line extension. Some argue that improving existing national rail services will be cheaper and faster, better frequencies, simpler fares, and modern trains can deliver many of the benefits without new tunnels. Others suggest a tram or bus rapid transit routes along corridors like on Kent Road. Critics of these alternatives argue that they don't provide the same capacity, speed, or long-term transformation as a full underground extension. You see, these critics, I can't say they should shut their mouths, but what I can say is they should be ignored. I honestly think they should be ignored. These are the status quo critics that are ruining big transport projects or big projects in general. Everyone says we should just do the existing upgrade existing, upgrade existing. There's a reason why new lines are needed. New lines are needed to relieve the existing lines without upgrading it. Because if you upgrade the existing services, what happens? We disrupt the existing services. If you disrupt the existing services, what's the point of upgrading it then? What is actually the point? Because, as a good example, the West Coast Main Line, around 2011-ish, sort of like that, 2009, 2010, 2011, so somewhere around there. We upgraded it for £9 billion with Virgin Trains leading the way on that one. What happened now in 2026? The ORR almost cancelled London to Blackpool services in the morning. Why? Because of capacity. There is a capacity issue. We as the West, especially Britain's really bad at this. And then the second worst, I think, is America. But as an Anglosphere, Britain really loves to just use the existing services without actually putting the effort and put a new line. If we can do both things, but we need a new line first, upgrade existing second. That is how Europe does it. That is how Japan is doing it now. Japan, with their maglev, they are making a new line first, and then when that is open, they're going to upgrade the existing Shinkansen network. Paris, France, what do? They make a new TGV line. With that TGV line, then if they want to, if they see the data that the existing services need upgrading, they'll go and upgrade it. They have a new route open. Why in Britain our critics keep on saying, for this, especially for the HS2 bit, that we don't need this, we don't need that, just upgrade the existing services. They don't know that if you need to upgrade it, to truly upgrade it, you won't be seeing any trains going up and from London to the north. So I'm just saying we should not be listening to critics when they keep on saying upgrade this, upgrade this, upgrade that. If you need it upgraded, you need a new line to take the people off the existing services. So then you can put that energy into upgrading the existing services, because it is getting too much. The status quo is not working clearly. That's why everything's more expensive as well, because we're lacking ambition and we're lacking things that can actually are the best. We don't go for the cheapest, you go for the best. Because why? The best is the cheapest in the long term. So, should it happen? The Bakerloo Line Extension has clear benefits: better access, more capacity, and long-term regeneration. But it also comes with real costs, risk, and trade-offs, especially in the city that's already struggling to fund its transport network. The real question may not whether the Bakerloo Line Extension is a good idea, or whether London can afford not to fix a long-standing transport gap in the southeast. As I said, in my case, with how I see this project and how I see TfL's ambition for this project, if TfL does not get sorted real quick, especially this year or maybe next year, the £8 billion that it's supposed to get from Elephant and Castle to Lewisham is going to skyrocket to 12 billion. Because why? A lot of factors. The land value goes up now that everyone knows that Bakerloo Line could be extended. Construction costs because of the COVID, Ukraine war crisis, other war crises with the Gaza and Israel thing. The globally, everything's gone up. Inflation's gone up. Everything's gone up. So for transport investments, we need to catch up with the times. If everything's going to go up, you do things as quick as possible. Either way, TfL, I don't think, cannot afford to ignore the Southeast anymore because a lot of people are coming to the Southeast with no buses, with no train, no tube near them, such as Old Kent Road. So with this happening, the roads will suffer. I've moved out of deep Southeast London. I'm still in Southeast London. I'm in the outskirts. But from what I still remember, when I go back into places like Peckham, into places like New Cross, into places like Wharf Road, Camberwell, Denmark Hill, another place like Lewisham, the traffic is unbearable. Unbearable. As a South Londoner, people know it's unbearable. Even with the 20 miles an hour restrictions, it does not matter. It is unbearable. There's too many cars, too much buses on the roads. So TfL really cannot afford because if they're putting in even more houses, even more people coming, then we're going to have a real problem in our hands when there's an accident going on.